You're listening to the Business Wealth Impact Podcast, your source for empowering information and cutting-edge ideas from the world's top minds. I'm your host, Jeanne Omlor, founder of seven-figure coaching company, Jeanne Omlor International. Join me on a journey to unleash your potential and create your highest success. Welcome to Business Wealth Impact. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Business Wealth Impact. And we have an amazing guest today, Dr. Dorine Rivers. She's a PhD in business management and human and organizational systems, a project management professional certification, and investment banking licenses. She has 3 decades of expertise in launching and managing businesses, educational leadership, video production, and is an award-winning published author. As a serial entrepreneur, her expertise is in creative vision and execution, strategic planning, and identifying growth opportunities that will transform how we generate visual materials and bring content to life. And she just launched her new company, Savantz, at 7 a.m. this morning. Welcome, Dorine.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here. It's great to see you.
Awesome. There's so much to get into here on this episode. So please tell us a little bit about your journey of how you got from PhD to you had the consulting Alpha 81 for a long time, 3 decades, and then how you moved into Savantz.
The PhD is a story in and of itself. I was at the time married, and I was raising 5 of my children and 4 of someone else's, and working, and I had to work it in between all of that, but I was determined to get it. And it was one of the smartest things I ever did. And it was a good thing that I finished it because it's come in handy, and it taught me a lot of things. And the biggest thing it taught me was when you set a goal, you don't quit until you get there. So that's just one example of setting a high bar and then saying, I'm going to leap over that. And I'm not going to go over it or around it. I'm going to make sure I go over it. And so that kind of explains a lot of things that I've done my whole life. And I challenge myself. It goes with helping other people to start their businesses. They've decided to challenge themselves, as I'm sure a lot of your listeners have done so or are thinking of doing so. And for those who have done it, you know that it takes grit, and it takes a big why am I doing this that holds you together in the problematic times when there's insurmountable problems and you've got to come up with a solution, and you refuse to quit until you do. And that's what it takes to get there. I recently launched a book last year. It's called Brain to Bank: How to Get Your Idea Out of Your Head and Cash In. And it's really a Bible of what I've experienced the last 30 years. It's a lot of, here's what you do, and it's all linear, and do step 1 and then do step 2. And there's worksheets in there that you can now write in how you're going to do your own. But another important section is what happens when people don't do that and what goes wrong. And those lessons are just as valuable and more valuable if it happens to you, because you're going to learn from that and you're never going to do it again. And it propels you forward if you take the lesson and you do better next time. So I've taken that kind of an approach to everything I've done. I've created a couple online courses before, and I decided I wanted to take Brain to Bank and create an online course for it. Well, in the past, I've done it the traditional way. I'm going to hire a narrator to speak and do the teaching principles and tell the stories. And I'm going to hire an animator and a video editor, and I'm going to do soundtracks and the whole thing, and I've got 7 or 8 people I need to work with, and you hire them all and you manage them all, and it's time consuming, and you wonder if it's ever going to be done. And I thought I didn't want to approach it that way. I've done it. It's too much time and it's too much money. How else can I do this? So with the excitement and the birth of AI being accessible to everybody else, I'm thinking, well, maybe AI can help me do this and streamline the process and make it better at the same time. So I start looking at the systems and processes of what can I use in AI that will help me to build the online course much faster and much cheaper and get a better product. So I start putting this together, and pretty soon I realize I'm creating something that millions of other people would love to have at their fingertips to use. Business people can use it for their sizzle videos, and entrepreneurs can use it to put together a package for investors, and educators can really use this. They can actually make it fun and entertaining by having videos explain the material, because the kids haven't read the books anyway, so they want the information, but they want you to entertain it, and they want it in short bursts. And what about authors who have spent a year or two writing a book? I know for a fact that when I sell a hardcover book, and it's selling for $35, I'm going to make $1 or $2. Well, imagine turning that book into an online course and then reaping 100 times that. You sell your course for $1,000. You don't have to do anything because it's on a platform, and people are just going onto the platform and learning from you. You don't even have to be there. So would you rather earn $1, or would you rather earn $1,000?
Sure, I'm sure everybody would rather earn the 1,000. So tell us, right? What's different about, you're talking about Savantz now, how that works? Is that what? Yeah. Okay.
That's how it came to be.
Okay. So what's the difference between, like, when you do your own videos and you put them on, Kajabi, what does Savantz do that's different? Explain the process.
Well, when you go to do your online course, you can do one that's just text, and people are going to sit there and read it and be bored to death and are not going to finish it. Or you can do a talking heads video where you're behind a green screen or whatever, and you're going to talk about, the principles of whatever's in chapter 1, and they're going to sit there and watch you, and maybe you're going to interject a couple images or photos once in a while, but it's, the information's there, and the information's still great, but it's not fun. So what if you could take that same text and upload it to Savantz, and you can choose a voice that's going to say what you want it to say, that will illustrate then the visuals, then we create the visuals, and they're not stock images. We're not pulling from some stock image where you've seen it 100 times in somebody's pitch deck. Every image is created just for you. And then you can choose the mood of the music. You can choose the style of your video. Do you want it realistic? Do you want it comic book? Do you want it fantasy? Do you want it something fun? You choose all that, and you hit a button, and it generates your video. Now you have a micro video for your online course that teaches the key elements of what was in your book. And they're going to watch it because it's fun to watch, and because it involves storytelling. They're going to remember what you told them, and it's mission accomplished.
Okay, so how does it work? Say somebody does want to speak in their videos. How do they use Savantz if they want to also speak in the videos?
Well, if you want to be the narrator, you can upload your own voice, and then your voice will be used for whatever narration shows up. You don't have to record all of the different segments that you want yourself. You can put the narration in there and choose yourself as the voice. And now you're the voiceover, and you're telling the story, and you're relaying the information in the online video instead of someone else.
So basically they just need a sound sample of the voice, and then the AI fills it all in. Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
Great. So this is amazing. So, and people can buy a membership and use that. That's how it works.
It does. There's 4 levels, and you choose how many minutes do I think I need to create. Do you need to create 3 or 10 or 20 or 30? If this is your job at a corporation, then you're going to buy a bigger package because you're going to be creating a lot of videos for training, for example. But if you're just put together a sizzle video for your website, and you're going to start there, then you're going to need 3 minutes is plenty.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So that's amazing. So, so tell me about your 30 years of working with, consulting, you must have a lot of stories to tell. Tell us something of, how did you get started in, you got the PhD and then you started working with clients. Tell us something that you've come across all the time that people really struggle with. And, there's usually not that many business problems. So tell us a little bit about, that's a lot of experience. What have you learned from that?
I think number one is to set your company up. Let's assume it's a startup.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to set your company up properly in the beginning. I recently sold a company through a mergers and acquisitions deal, and they had been up and running for 12 years, and they had just started forming this new company underneath the big company that they already had. And what happened when we went to sell it was it wasn't its own entity. It wasn't an LLC or a partnership or a corporation. All of the financials were within the big corporation's financials, so it didn't have its own financials. And we had to pull all that out and create it and go back in time, 12 years, to create the history that it needed so it could be its own corporation and be sold separately, because they weren't selling the company. They were selling that. So just to set it up properly, and there are several different ways you can set up the entity. You can be a sole proprietor, you can be a corporation, but talk to a CPA, find out what is the best thing for you. People think, oh, I'm starting out and I'm not going to spend money. I'm not going to pay any money out to a CPA to have them do all this. So they try to figure it out. But what happens if you do it wrong? You go back, you pay 3 times as much to have it redone right the first time, and they have to fix everything you did wrong. So just do it right. And there's a couple things that you want to do right. And the legal entity is one of those. Set up the books. There's free ones. You can do QuickBooks, but keep track of stuff and do it the right way, because number one, it matters when you go to do your taxes. 2, you always want to know what your numbers are. What are your finances? There's a whole chapter in there, and it talks about if you're not a finance person and you're not a numbers person, which I'm not. Here's where you can go and you can click on the free videos to watch and teach yourself how to read a financial statement, because if you don't know the numbers of your business, you don't know where you are. You're not running the business, because next week you won't be. And there's all those kinds of things in the book. And those are all the things I've learned working with these other corporations and entities and individuals about things they didn't do right. So just do it right from the beginning is the biggest advice.
Right. Okay. Love it. Now you said something about goal setting. I want to hear more about that. You don't quit till you get there. Now, obviously you're good at that. So you understood you don't quit till you get there. Now, a lot of people don't know that mindset. Tell us more about that and how people can install this mindset into their brains.
I think one of the first things you need to do is decide how important the goal is to you. If it kind of doesn't matter, you're kind of not going to really get there, right? So choose things that really matter to you, and then you make a decision in the very beginning. So here's an example in this story. Last June, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
I am not a big mountain climber, and I wasn't a hiker. I was a biker. So, but I went on safari and I kept flying over Kilimanjaro. I'm thinking 2 things. 1, this has been on my bucket list literally since 1994, 30 years. And 2, you ain't getting any younger. So I came home and I knew if I signed up and I bought my ticket that I would make myself go, because that's the first step, is committing yourself. So think about, what do I need to do that makes it feel real to me, so I start the mindset of, here's my goal, I'm going to start. And then get your training. Maybe your training is learning more about AI because you're going to do an AI project, or you're going to learn more about finances because you want your business to succeed. For me, I had to set up a whole hiking schedule, and I wasn't a hiker. I had to go buy hiking shoes, but I already made my commitment. So here's your schedule. Stick to it. Do it every day. And then when it comes time to really do it, the very first step you take on the mountain is a step toward the summit. And whatever happens between the first step and the summit, it doesn't really matter, because you already know you're going to reach the summit, and whatever happens in between is what happens in between. And you just grind through it until you reach the summit. And that first step is that solid commitment. Yes, I'm going to make it because I just took the first step. And if you can just get your mind to go there, whatever happens in between, you'll be fine, because you will figure it out.
Oh, I love that. It's like, the thing of, if you want to go running in the mornings, put your running shoes like right near your bed. So you put them on and it's like, oh, the shoes are on, right? It's not like, I think the more we build in hesitation venues, the more we're going to hesitate. So if the shoes are there, you put them on, it's better than, well, let me go see if I'm going to go get them out of my closet and put them on, right? There's already a built-in area where you could falter. So I love what you did is you leave no room for faltering. There's no room. You book the ticket. Well, now I have to go. I have no shoes. Well, now I'm going to buy them. Now I have a schedule. Well, it looks like it sounds like you're propelling yourself forward by getting your foot in the door. I call it literally your foot in the door to go. I have a question. That's exciting.
Foot in the hill.
Foot in the hill, the foothill.
Well, right. And many people need or want someone to be on the journey with them, because, for example, when I set up my hiking schedule, I set it up with my best friend who lives down the street, and we'd say, okay, we're hiking Monday morning. And in Scottsdale, if you don't hike in the summer, if you don't hike by 5 a.m., it's 100 degrees by 7 a.m. So getting up at 4:30 to go hike, to get on the mountain by 5 when it opens, because it's important for me to get my hike in that day, or I don't get it in. I'm not an early morning person. It about killed me the first 30 days. But I knew my friend was waiting for me. So I'm up and I'm ready. And after 30 days, what happens with any habit is it becomes natural for you just to do it. So you just tell yourself, this is killing me for 30 days, but I know after those first 4 weeks, it's going to be easier. And when you can see the end of that 4 weeks, you go, okay, this is day 10. This is day 15. I only have 10 more days, and I just went through 20. You take it in small little chunks like that, and pretty soon it's a natural thing for you to be doing, and it's not hard anymore. And that goes with business, that goes with working out, that goes with the diet, it goes with anything that seems insurmountable. It's the thing from the movie, and then he says, baby steps, take baby steps. And it's what about Bob?
And it's, that film. That's What About Bob? Yeah,
good morning.
Yeah.
Take those baby steps. But he was right.
Yeah.
And so anything, just chunk it down, and you got this.
Right. So so I was wondering about that. I thought, I hope you didn't just like get on the mountain. So how long did you train hiking locally before you went and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro?
I trained for 9 straight months.
Oh.
And what happens, in Arizona, we're less than the top of the hills I'm going to are at 2,200, right? I mean, and I find out that the group I'm with, when I get to Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, well, they're from Boise. They're living at 5,500. They've been hiking to 14,000, and and the thing that gets you on Kilimanjaro, it's not the hike, it's the altitude, because you're hiking to 19,341 feet, and about the time you get to 12, you're feeling it. Yeah. And if you get altitude sickness and it gets too severe, you can't keep going, because you're going to get this brain aneurysm and never be the same, or not be here anymore. And so you have to pay attention to that. So I'm thinking 2 things. One, I don't care what happens. I'm crawling to the top of the mountain. But 2, when I got there, I decided I'm not getting altitude sickness, because I don't have time for it. And I want to feel good on this hike. And all 6 of the people on my hike, all of them got altitude sickness. And I'm older by 15 20 years of anybody there, I never got it because
you
I said,
decided I will
I,
not.
I,
You planted the mindset. I will not get sick. It will not happen to me.
it
You were
is
front loading
mindset.
that. Yeah.
It is, and you're smart. You're taking Diamox, and you're taking, the anti. It doesn't keep you from getting altitude sickness, but you don't get it near as extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was on Diamox,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing what the guys are telling you. Go slowly. Do
Mm-hmm.
this. Do that. You're doing all the right things. You're not disregarding everything. Just going, oh, I'm not going to get it. You're paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing all the right things. It's mindset.
Yes.
All of this is
Right.
mindset.
They got it anyway, and they were doing exactly what you were doing, but you were like, no, I will not get it. Okay, I love that. So we learned a lot of lessons here. So basically, the goal setting is set your mind to it, make sure it's important enough, and then make sure you do the reps in between every day, because it's not like I'm going to do this and then it's going to happen overnight. It's like, okay. And from your 30 years of business consulting, you had 30 years of habit. So what would you say? And then I have a question. How long did it take you to get to the summit?
The company I went with, Tusker Expeditions, and I'll plug them. They were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
There are 7 different ways to get up to the top. The first 2 are built for extreme athletes and people with raging youth and hormones. The third one is called the Lemosha route, and it's 7 days up, and it's the third hardest route of the 7. And then it's 2 days down, and the 2 days down is the hardest route down. That's what we did. And it was a smart way to do it because the 7 days give you time to acclimate to the altitude as you climb. And the last 2 days before you summit, you'll go up 1,500 feet, and then you go up 2,000 and come down another 500 or 700 to sleep. But you'll go up and then come down to level out, and then do it again. They were smart. They knew exactly how to maximize your chances of reaching the summit. And I chose a really great group with great guides who knew how to increase the success rate. And then, of course, the rest is up to you.
Wow. And then you had to also carry your camping gear, or did somebody carry that for you?
You carry a backpack with all your day stuff in it. And especially, there's a jacket in there. Later on, there's gloves and a hat and stuff.
It's
because
cold.
You're running with snow and glaciers and things. And of course, the snacks and your water. I mean, it weighs anywhere from 15, 20 pounds maybe. You're packing that. And then every person has 3 porters. One person has all your clothes and stuff. And another person has all your sleeping bag and your tent. And then they're helping to carry all the food up. There were 30 porters there. And I planned this so that I would summit on my exact birthday. And all of these wonderful 30 porters who are native African singing happy birthday to me at the top of Kilimanjaro.
Oh,
it's like,
wow.
on the top of Kilimanjaro at 19,341 feet on your birthday. It's like,
oh, wow. Okay. You planned that well. You were there for your birthday. Yeah.
I was there for my birthday, and they carried a cake. But I mean, and part of this is time it for yourself. Just visualize what you want this moment to look like. And then you walk toward that, and it all comes together, and you go, that was amazing. And one of the reasons it was amazing is because you saw it being amazing, and you decided how that was going to end, and then you put it together along the way.
Well, that is very inspiring. God bless you. You had your birthday on Mount Kilimanjaro with a bunch of people singing to you and a cake. Wow. Yeah, it's
So
pretty
fun.
cold up there. Were people getting frostbite or anything like that?
No, they weren't. And really, when you're hiking, you layer, right? I'd start out with literally my North Face parka on that can go down to 30 below. And within 30 minutes is off. And then you have something, you've got 4 layers on. The first 3 days, I layered down to a tank top. But by after that, you're wearing short sleeves, and then you're wearing a jacket, and then you're wearing a parka.
Right.
But they tell you what to bring, and you everything's, it's down and you're squashing it in
Yes.
and dumping it into your
Yes.
back. And then later on at the end of the day, you're pulling it all back out again. And
It's a lot of work.
But
And it's actually 25 pounds is not nothing to be carrying all that time. It's, it's not 10
well,
pounds.
I will tell you that event is not, and it's not the only one in my
Mhm.
life. When you prepare and you set your goal and your challenge to be way just barely reachable for you and yet reachable, when you succeeded, it changes you on a cellular level and you are a different person. So I came home and I started Savantz, and what do I know about AI? Pretty much what I read, which is not a lot. So I dug in and started learning about it. That's like getting your hiking schedule, all scheduled. And then you start putting together your project and your company. And that's like starting the hikes that you do every day. And when you have summited already, you know you can do it. So you start the first step, and that's saying, I'm going to build this company and that's what it's going to be like. And then you take the next step. It's the same because you already did it. You already know you can do it. You go, okay, here's my next summit. And this is what it looks like.
That is so philosophical. Everything for you now is a summit. So you're saying you came back very different on a cellular level. That's worth the experience just to get that, right? This has been fascinating. Okay, so what if you want to reach out, if somebody wants to reach out to you about Savantz, how do they find you?
I would just really go to the website, which is the www dot, and then Savantz is SAVANT and Z like zebra .ai. And there's a form to fill out there, and you can find me. But check it out. And if you're in business or an educator or an author or an entrepreneur or a creator, have fun.
Right. Okay. So we are also going to have all of those in the show notes if people want to check those out as well. So what's your parting word for people? Like, what do you have to say people, to people as your parting?
Well, I think it really summarizes what we've been talking about. If you want to do it, you can do it. And you decide you want to do it, get your plan in order and take the first step. Keep your eye on the prize, keep your eye on the summit, and keep hiking. You will get there. You're no different than anyone else. Everybody has the same ability to decide they want to do it and to succeed.
Okay,
just decide you're going to do it.
That's a mic drop. Just decide you're going to do it. Dorine, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for turning up, and thank you to everybody for listening. Make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening or watching this, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Business Wealth Impact. I hope you found today's conversation insightful and life-changing. If you want to support the show and stay up to date with all of our latest episodes, the easiest way to do that is by following us on your favorite podcast platform. Just hit that follow button to never miss an episode. And if you really love the show and want to help us spread the word, leave us a review and share the podcast with your friends. Again, be sure to subscribe, and until next time, be impactful.